All right, good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to be here today with Representative Ro Khanna from California, who is in and around the Silicon Valley area. And I just want to open with, for this audience who may not know you as well, how did you start to learn about crypto? Because I really feel like if we look across Congress, you were one of the early adopters in terms of understanding the importance of the technology, but I'd love to hear about how you got started in this space.
Well, Kristin, you were one of the first people I spoke to, so I
You've been doing this longer than I have, so that's
your leadership. Of course, a lot of crypto founders, blockchain founders are in my district. I think people don't understand that it's not just about currency. I mean, people in this audience understand, but it's also about safeguarding our privacy. It's about being able to execute transactions without a middle person. Imagine being able to, for example, have transactions without having to give your social security number, without having to give away personal information, especially at a time of AI, where AI can go through data. We're going to need more security. And I understood from conversations with many different entrepreneurs and leaders that this was a very important technology. And I guess that's what I never understood about why it became so political, because technology can be used for good and technology can be used for bad. But just saying, let's outlaw technology it doesn't make sense. And fundamentally, blockchain is just a technology.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the past. You've done a lot of work, I think, to educate your Democratic colleagues in Congress, and I think there is today we have a pretty strong group of members in both the House and the Senate that are very passionate about this space. But I think as we look, back over the past 4 years, the Biden administration was pretty openly hostile towards crypto. I think there are a lot of good reasons. There are a lot of good reasons for that, everything with FTX, et cetera. But I'd love to hear a little bit about your efforts to fix that, because I think you were really working hard behind the scenes and ultimately were successful in getting the conversations going. But I think it was just a little too much too late, despite all of the efforts to get to the administration. But I'd love to hear about sort of why you think they were so against innovation, and maybe you can shed some light on your efforts to fix that.
I think they didn't fully understand the technology. They didn't understand several basic principles. The Democratic Party has said we don't want to be just insular. We don't just want to look at America. We want American leadership around the world. Well, if you have that view, wouldn't you want more people around the world to have access to dollars? So if you're someone in Nigeria or you're someone in Vietnam, you're probably not going to be able to get dollars because the foreign exchange is heavily regulated by these countries. But now you can get stable coins, and with stable coins, you actually have access to the dollar. And there are so many people around the world who are using Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. So to me, this is about the extension of American leadership and influence. But I don't think the Democratic Party fully understood that. They didn't understand that the next generation views some of this as digital gold. It's just a new store of value, which it doesn't have the same transport costs, doesn't have the same costs of storage or safety. And there was a suspicion, because of FTX, because of financial speculation that had crashed in 2008, there just was a suspicion of anything that was new. But we had a roundtable 3.5 years into the administration, and I saw Anthony Scaramucci, I don't know if he's out here still, he came, and Mark Cuban, and about 25, 30 leaders. And one of the people in the Biden administration said, wow, I didn't realize they were this upset at us. And I said, they have been. And so the good news is there's a new generation, people like Jay Auchincloss, myself, Darren Soto, others who want this to be a bipartisan issue for American competitiveness. One other point, if you look at why North Korea or Iran or some of the bad actors in the world have cryptocurrencies, it's not that they're hacking into Coinbase. They're hacking into these exchanges that are overseas. And so one of the points we made is better to have a regulated market in the United States with exchanges than to have this go offshore, in which case we're going to have very little regulation over it. We're simply going to have Treasury sanctions, and that's going to mean that it gets into the hands of the bad actors. I'd rather have it be in a regulated environment in the United States.
So I think we've made a lot of progress with Democrats in Congress, right? I think, last year we had a vote on market structure legislation that had 71 Democrats in the House. Just this past week, there was a vote to repeal the IRS broker rule for DeFi, which would put information reporting requirements on different sort of software developers that don't necessarily have that information today. It would be hugely problematic. You were one of 76 Democrats in the House. In the Senate, the votes were, I think we had 18 Democrats and 1 independent that voted for it. So I think a lot has changed. And I do think when we're looking at Congress, these are bipartisan issues. But can you talk a little bit outside of crypto, sort of where we're at in terms of cooperation on a bipartisan level with the Trump administration? Is there any hope for collaboration outside of the crypto space, or is crypto just kind of a bright spot between the two parties?
Look, I describe myself as a pro-growth progressive. I'm someone who believes everyone should have the right to health care and education, but I believe the country has to celebrate innovation and wealth generation and entrepreneurship and economic growth. And I have tried to work across the aisle where one can. The challenges with Doge and Musk, initially I said, okay, let's look at waste, fraud, and abuse, and do that at the Pentagon budget, do that in a collaborative way. I think what people have been upset about is that there's been sort of unilateral action by the administration without, some of them firing veterans, closing Social Security offices, without the proper consultation of Congress, and in a way that I don't think always makes rational sense. What's another area that we could have collaboration? I mean, I went about taking down AI-generated sexually explicit images from the internet. I'm working with Ted Cruz on that. So if there's something that's good for the American people, I'll always look to be across the aisle. But the stress of these actions in defiance of Congress has really made it harder to do that.
You brought up Elon. I'm super fascinated by him, and as you know, I worked on Capitol Hill as a staffer for 10 years, including for appropriators who are in charge of spending money, and it was always so difficult to ever cut back a program, so it's interesting to me to see him in the role that he has taken on, in addition to so many other things that he does. But I do feel like there is a really strong anti-Elon sentiment among Democrats. Like I think of my neighbor in Washington, D.C., who has his Tesla, and now there's a sticker on it, I bought this before Elon went crazy, and I'm worried that Elon is associated with technology and innovation, and that I was actually talking with another one of your Democratic colleagues in the House. They were talking about how they're very worried that this is going to drive the Democratic Party away from tech, away from innovation. Do you feel that tension within the Democratic Party, or do you think that there can be sort of an embrace and a sort of step of the party to move more towards a pro-technology, pro-innovative environment?
You're talking to the congressman from Silicon Valley, so I obviously believe that we can be pro-technology and pro-entrepreneurship, pro-innovation, and progressive. You know, Musk, I think, has gone about this the wrong way, in my opinion. I mean, he would have had Democrats, including progressive Democrats, be willing to look at a process and a rational plan for waste in the Pentagon or waste in other programs, but he's decided to do it unilaterally. That said, there has to be a line. I got criticized from my own party because I just tweeted out, let's not burn Teslas and not burn dealerships. We shouldn't engage in vandalism. And people said, why am I appeasing Elon Musk? No, I'm not appeasing Elon Musk. I'm condemning vandalism. And so I think we have to be common sense and reasonable. And with CRISPR, with synthetic biology, with crypto, the technology is going to have an enormous impact, for better or worse, on our nation, on our world. It's going to be the source of enormous wealth generation. It's going to impact our culture in good and bad ways. I mean, kids are probably too addicted to their phones and social media, and the American people understand that. So the Democratic Party has to be the party that says, we want technology to help your kids, your families have more prosperity. We don't want it all just concentrated in Ro's district, $12 trillion of market cap. We want it to work for you. We want to figure out how we have sensible regulation on it, especially when it comes to social media and kids, when it comes to privacy, and we understand the future. But if you're just blatantly anti-technology and anti-innovation, I don't think that the people will trust you to be the party of the future. So we have an opportunity to say, we don't have to be techno-libertarians. We don't have to believe that, that the solution is just to get government out of the way. What we have to say is we have a vision for how government leaders, business leaders, technologists can collaborate to help people who are economically struggling.
When we look at the crypto markets today, it's very clear that Bitcoin and other crypto assets are trading as a risk asset right now. And a lot of that, I think, is stemmed around the uncertainty around tariffs, as well as sort of the uncertainty as to how the budget process is going to play out. Do you see a resolution to some of this uncertainty in the months ahead, or is this something that is going to be maybe a hallmark of the administration we have right now?
I think it's been a mistake for the president to be as capricious about how he's implementing policy. And it's one of the reasons his numbers have gone down on the economy for the first time ever. When the Biden beat Donald Trump was still above 50% on economic leadership. It's the first time ever. And I have supported strategic tariffs. So if you want to have tariffs on steel that has been hollowed out in America, fine. And actually, some of those tariffs are working. I was just talking to Cleveland-Cliffs the other day, and their steel industry demand is coming back because it's raised the price of steel in coming from Mexico and China and Japan and South Korea. But you can't have blanket tariffs on all products coming from Mexico and Canada, and then have tariffs one day and non-tariffs the other day. And this is actually hurting farmers, it's hurting small business owners, it's causing uncertainty in the economy, and then the firings, the mass firings of people is causing a concern that is that going to hurt consumer spending? You've had the Michigan survey. For the first time, consumer confidence is low, the lowest it's been in 2 years. And so I don't think that the uncertainty is good. And I think what there needs to be is a rational plan and rational leadership. And my hope is that the president will realize that.
Yeah. Let's turn to the congressional agenda for crypto for this year. Obviously, we've already seen this CRA vote. Interestingly, for those who don't know, the Senate passed it, the House passed it. The Senate actually has to do it again because the Constitution has something about bills that touch revenue must originate in the House. So, there's going to be one more vote and then it'll get signed to the president. I think that was really important because I think one of the things we need this Congress and the Trump administration to do is clean up the bad policies that were put in place the last go around. But there's a lot more work to do on that front. I think that we need to get a stablecoin bill done. We need to get a market structure bill done. I know that the White House and David Sachs, the AI and crypto czar, have sort of called for getting these things done by the August recess. What do you think the outlook is for legislation this year? Are those doable topics? Is this something that it seems like the votes are there, but do you think that there's the will to get either stablecoin or market structure or both done anytime this year?
I think we should be able to get both done. I mean, we have 70 to 80 Democrats now who understand the importance of it. I mean, stable coins as I mentioned earlier, just increase American influence around the world, give people more access to dollars. It's not that they're replacing dollars, it's actually that they're making it easier for people to get access to dollars. And I hope we get a regulated stablecoin market, which would actually make it also more secure, because it requires that the stablecoin be backed by dollars, not kind of a fractional banking concept on it. And on market structure, of course, we had FIT 21 last time that I worked closely with Patrick McHenry on. I understand that there has to be some tinkering to that, but a basic market structure bill should emerge. Now, I'll say this just to challenge folks. I mean, I've been a supporter of blockchain, of crypto technology, but I criticize this idea of the president having a meme coin. I don't think any elected official should be having a meme coin, and those type of things, in my view, distract from the fundamental technology and making the case. And so I think we have to recognize that those types of things are not helpful in convincing the American public that there's an underlying technology that is valuable.
Yeah, no, I worry about this too. I mean, I suppose if we're dealing with Gary Gensler versus a very enthusiastic Trump family in the crypto business, I would take the second option any day. But I do worry that this, has given some Democrats pause that there may be some, at least appearance of conflict there. And so I do appreciate that one of your colleagues, Sam Liccardo, has introduced a bill that would prohibit elected officials from issuing meme coins, and I think that's an interesting.
Yeah, and I totally support that, because we have to show that this is not something that elected officials are going to use to profit off of, that it is transparent and it's a fundamental technology. And you had, because of FTX and the actual fraud there, you had a lot of suspicion in the American public, and that, I think, led to some of the concerns that blockchain and crypto faced. And I don't want that same kind of skepticism to emerge because of meme coins.
Final question as we wrap up here. What does your future hold? I feel like you are brighter than your average congressperson. Not that they're not
I don't know if that's
people,
an advantage or disadvantage, or nor do I know if it's.
But you're all over the place. You're on CNBC. You go on Fox News. Like you really speak, I think, to a broad audience, and you have, I think, a fantastic profile within the House. But could we ever see you in a future administration, or in the Senate, or governor, or do you have political aspirations beyond your career?
Who knows? Look, I represent arguably the most consequential place in the world. In my district, you have $12 trillion of market value: Apple, Google, Tesla, NVIDIA, incredible new AI startups. So I love representing my district, and I have some few key principles. I'm a huge advocate of free speech. That's why I like going on different programs. I think the Democrats can't be afraid of jousting and mixing it up and being persuasive, defending your opinions, not being afraid to be criticized. I'm a huge believer that we need to solve income inequality in this country, but that the way to solve it has to involve innovation and wealth generation, and that's why I call myself a pro-growth progressive, a progressive capitalist. That doesn't mean there's a difference between being a corporatist and a progressive capitalist, and I've tried to articulate that. And I want the Democratic Party to have a compelling economic vision of the future, a fresh vision. I think the reason we lost as a party is we lost on the economy, we lost on free speech, we became the party of the status quo. If we become the party that understands the future, understands how future wealth is going to be generated, and make sure that every young person, every family, every community has access to it, I think that's the way back for the party. So I'd like to say if people say years from now, Ro Khanna, really, he has a strong economic vision that the Democratic Party is adopting, then I would think I was successful.
Fantastic. Well, we really appreciate your time today. I'm sure the audience enjoyed it as much as I did. So thank you, Ro.
Thank you, Kristin, and thank you for your leadership. You've been in the trenches. I know how hard it has been and I know when there were only 5 or 10 Democrats who were for understanding this technology, and you were working then on these things, and you've made a big difference.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.